And normally at this point in the show, I try to be funny or clever or something like that. But I don't got it in me tonight.
Yeah, time and place, time and place.
I'm just stunned that, we're going to look back on this. This is an unprecedented time. And when you're living through this in real time, it's just hard to wrap your head around what's going on here.
Well, the most important things is people. It's better to overreact than to not react, I think. And what's important is also to just make sure, what the NBA is doing, what other leagues are trying to do, what the NCAA did with the NCAA tournament. It's a lot of things what businesses are doing. What has to be done right now is to just kind of everything's got to just slow down for a minute and make sure you understand what's going on and make sure that the people that need to be protected are protected. Those who need treatment get treatment. All that stuff. I mean, it's what's most important right now. You might not be personally affected. That might not be you affected, but there are a lot of people that are. And this is a time where you have to start thinking about other people. And I think for a league to do what they did tonight was something they had to do. Once it was one player, that was pretty much it. Yeah. They had met all day today. They exhausted every possible option that they could come up with, Board of Governors and the Players Union, about how they would react to certain things. So how quickly they reacted showed you that there was something that came out of today's meeting that told them that once one player did test positive for it, that they would react swiftly, and they certainly did.
All right, let's take everyone through the NBA statement made after OKC and Utah was postponed. The NBA announced that a player on the Utah Jazz has primarily tested positive for the coronavirus. The test result was reported shortly prior to the tip-off of tonight's game between the Jazz and OKC Thunder. That's at the arena, Chesapeake Energy Arena in OKC. At that time, tonight's game was canceled. The affected player was not in the arena. NBA is suspending gameplay following the conclusion of tonight's schedule of games until further notice. The NBA will use this hiatus to determine next steps for moving forward in regard to the coronavirus pandemic. So it was a crazy scene there tonight at OKC because this is going on while the players are very confused on the court as to why they were not starting the game.
It was a warm-up,
right.
Yeah.
And reportedly, the OKC team doctor was aware of what was going on with the medical situation, ran out onto the court and said, hey, can't play.
Right, get everybody back into the locker rooms.
And you're thinking about the situation not only for the players but also the fans when they see that team personnel for the Jazz run out into the court and make the announcement or maybe kind of figuring out what's going on and maybe that emotion, that reaction from the players on their face as they're being escorted to the locker room. Now it's one of those situations where you're thinking about yourself, your family, and everyone that's in that arena if you possibly could be exposed to that. So again, I applaud the NBA for being proactive instead of reactive to make sure that they're trying to take all the precautions necessary that this thing does not spread.
And this was interesting because the news coming into the game, as you look at the scene tonight at OKC, we knew that the Warriors were going to play tomorrow night, Monica, with no fans. That was the first official announcement about the impact of the virus on the NBA. And now this has gotten to the point, there was a possibility that they were going to go forward playing games with no fans, but now obviously a whole new dynamic given what we're looking at here, Monica, tonight at OKC.
I wonder if, in a way, the NBA's decision puts society, particularly American society, because I do think there's a sect of our population that maybe is not taking this thing as serious as they should. But we talk about the ability of sports to intersect race, class, finances, all of those places. And to see a league take this swift and dramatic decision, I hope that it just sets an example for those looking on. Because to your point, Alan, it's not about the average of, 19 to 30-something NBA player who is healthy and probably able-bodied and could withstand even if they were to test positive. It's about the fans. It's about the grandmom or the grandfather or the young child that may be in the arena. And we still don't know exactly how dangerous proximity is. And so let's just be safe as opposed to sorry.
No, that's an interesting point because you look at the fans not being at a soccer game in Italy, it doesn't resonate the same. You know what I mean?
This is an American thing.
This hits home to us, at least, and really hits home to me now.
This brings a stronger reality to it, I think, right? And I think that's what it is that you see something this extreme. I don't want to say extreme to make it sound like that it's overreacting. What I mean is it's just that this is something that gets your attention.
It's a matter of fact.
Definitely. And so it becomes, as best as I can put it, real. Right, it's been a thing where we've been reading about it for 2 weeks now. We've been hearing about it, but it's never really been something that has hit home until something like this happens. And then once, and that's where sports does resonate, where you go, okay, no, this is real now. Okay, now they're going to do something like that. It's serious. Because as you mentioned, the Warriors talked about just not having fans in the building, playing the game, but not having fans in the building would cost them up to $3.5 million for one game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every game missed now. Think about that. Do the math. I mean, you're talking about there's multi-millions of dollars at stake here that these decisions are based on. So if you're making that kind of decision and you're pushing money aside, that just shows you how serious it is.
Yeah.
And this is all after, earlier in the day, we learned that the NCAA basketball tournament will be played with no fans in the arena.
Mark Emmert catches a lot of flack for different reasons, and we could get into what the NCAA does or doesn't necessarily have right in regards to its athletes. But again, this one is not even just about what's going to happen in the 90 feet on those courts at the various locations across the country. And in fact, I actually applaud the NCAA for making the decision sooner because of the span of the NCAA tournament, both the men's and the women's, the 4 regionals, the different sites. We knew that Ohio was going to suspend or was not going to allow fans to be in the first 4. This is something that we have to take serious. And I think you nailed it, Alan. Sports makes it real.
You know what's interesting? When we were talking about all this, I think we all talked to each other about what happens when a player tests positive.
And we were waiting for
Yeah.
that.
Right?
And we knew at some point possibly that could have been the situation.
And that changes the whole equation.
Well, there was a soccer player, international soccer player, who had tested positive. And again, that when it's overseas, when it's Europe, you kind of still feel like it's over there. It's not over here. But once it becomes what we saw in the NBA tonight, then it becomes, that's when it becomes official. But it's going to be trickled down now because the NHL, we don't know what they're going to do coming up this week, but they'll have to think of something. There's an NFL draft coming where, you get 50, 80, 100,000 people that show up for that weekend for the NFL draft in April. So it's going to be all of the sports leagues. The baseball season is about to be underway. Yeah. We're already seeing what the Seattle Mariners
Olympics
are going to do.
Olympics
are in Tokyo, and that's something to decide as well. There's so much to now figure out what happens next, but all you can really do to me in this situation is what is tomorrow?
Yeah.
I thought the great question asked to Mike Miller tonight was, what are the players going to do? Do you go home and just everybody go home? Or is it, hey, all right, guys, listen, let's show up tomorrow. Let's get to the gym. Let's get working.
I have a daughter coming back from the University of Indiana and a daughter coming back from overseas. Are we supposed to just stay in the house? I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Well, I think everybody's in that boat, though, because you're not sure on what the proper steps are after this. Obviously, you want to try and self-quarantine. Really kind of reduce your risk of exposure.
You take it to our personal level.
Absolutely.
I don't know what are we supposed to do.
Live your life.
I would say there's such a fine line between urgency and panic, right? Yeah. This is real. We all can agree on that. But I think what we do is we listen to those professionals who are giving us the best advice possible, and we take it seriously. You implement what you can into your daily lives, whether it's washing your hands more, whether it's showering after you use public transportation, if you have the liberty or the opportunity to do that. But I think we got to be careful of walking around terrified. I mean, this is real. Take your precautions, as the NBA is setting the example and the NCAA. But I'd be concerned if we just are all walking around terrified, acting crazy.